And where is my Rebecca? She is here. This meeting is being live streamed. Okay. Okay, it should be live on Facebook, and let's pin this here. And let's make sure that this is on. Oh, and Rebecca needs to be made. Let's see, make co-host. Okay. Hi, Rebecca. All right, let's see what's going on here with this Facebook feed. Let me get the volume down. There we go. Hi, everyone. Will you please, y'all, will you please check in with me if you're joining me live? Give me a hashtag live. Let me know you're here. And today we're talking about the feeling of failure and why. Why are we? Okay, look, I'm not even going to say it's the feeling of failure. I'm going to say that for some of us, it is failure. All right. And I know, and this is not an opportunity for you all to be like, oh, let's not call failure failure. Let's just say our success, we're putting it off. I'm like, no, it's okay. We're doing shadow work right now. This is a shadow work session. So it's perfectly okay for us to be talking about the word failure, how it makes us feel, and how it shows up in our lives. And because we want to change that. Like, look, I'm not mad at failure, but I also don't want to be living in it, okay? And I imagine that you don't want to be living in it either, especially when you're working to achieve something, you know, whether it's failure in your business, okay, we're all spiritual life coaches here, or whether it's failure in your relationship, whether it's failure in your eating habits, whether it's failure in obtaining your goals or your relationships with people. We need to be able to talk about this with a very loving, but mature, but also honest approach, okay? And that's what we're going to be doing today. So I see that Jackie is here. Hi, Jackie. Can't stay, watch the replay later. Right on, sister. Francisca, I'm so glad that you made it. Thank you so much for joining us today. So if you're on live, please check in, hashtag live. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. And in the comments, I would like to know what you feel like you're failing at, okay? What do you feel like you're not doing well enough? And look, for me, failure is about messing up something one time is not a failure. That's a learning opportunity, but constantly messing up, and maybe constantly messing up in the same area or in the same way, that for me is a way of, that to me is failing, okay? Going into relationships, making the same relationship choices, making the same behavioral choices, making the same eating choices, and those things are not serving me, that's what I call failure. And that's what I'm talking about for today. So in the comments, will you please tell me what you're failing at or how you're defining failure? Either one of those questions, I'd love to get your feedback about. Let me get started here. My name is Crystal Lynn Bell, and I am a certified master spiritual life coach. And I'm also a worthiness advocate for women, which is why we're talking about failure today. Because a part of what we're ultimately doing is, well, I'm going to talk to you about this in a second. Let me give you my spiel. I am the founder of Badass Butterfly Spiritual Life Coaching. And as I said, I'm a master spiritual life coach. I also help women like you. I help you with your emotional problems, okay? I help you achieve greatness in your life. I also help you become certified spiritual life coaches with a thriving divine coaching business, right? This is my métier. This is what I've been working on for the last over a decade now. And I love it. And I'm very, very blessed to be able to offer these services to you. Right. So what we're talking about today is why? Why are we failing? We are intelligent. We have tons of resources. We are blessed beyond measure. If you're watching this video, you've got access to the internet, you've got access to technology. In a way, we could say, and we can see where people would say, how can you fail? You have access to so much. When we think about what our ancestors went through, what if we think about just what our parents didn't have and how they succeeded, when we think about what our grandparents and great-great-grandparents and great-great-great-grandparents, what they didn't have and how they managed to thrive in their lives, okay, or not, okay, but they still survived. And here we are having these wonderful generations that have come before us, having tremendous access, and yet experiencing constant failure. There is a there's something going on inside us, and I have a philosophy around this that I'm going to be sharing with you today. It's important. I'm going to share my philosophy with you today, and I'm going to give you some tricks to help you get started with making this correction within yourself. Now, I want to start off and tell you a little bit about how I experience failure personally. I want you to be able to relate to me, and I want to be able to relate to you. But I've been very, very blessed in my life, blessed with safety, with shelter, with security, with food, and a connection to the divine, and really just a very good life. And yet, there is a pall of failure that hangs over my life in certain areas. And it's not because I don't do the work. It's not because I take shortcuts. It's not because I don't pay attention to detail. It's not because I'm uneducated. It's because of this secret thing, all right? It's not a secret, but it's my secret because I'm gonna reveal it to you. You see, I'm trying to practice building a little mystery. You're saying, Crystalline, spit it out. What is the secret? And I'm saying, I wanna get you on board. I wanna excite you. I wanna tantalize you a little bit. So give me a moment. I'm gonna check in with Facebook and see who's here with me and see how you all are experiencing failure, okay? Let's see. All right, Francisca's here and she's saying, facing complex negative feelings to start my own business, doubting my ability to change. Yeah, these are really wonderful. They're wonderful insights, Francisca. Starting your own business is really scary, but it's so doable. And to be honest with you, it's pretty easy. Why do you have complex feelings around it? It's probably because of this secret that I'm going to reveal in just 60 seconds, okay? Doubting your ability to change is definitely a part of what I'm going to be explaining to you today in just 45 seconds. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So this idea of failure feels really bad in the body. And what's happening is that it's feeling really bad on a deep subconscious level. So we're not aware of the bad feeling, but our hair falls out. We overeat, maybe we smoke, or maybe we drink a little bit too much. Maybe we find ourselves making similar mistakes over and over again, and we certainly doubt ourselves and we doubt our ability, okay? All of these things are happening on a subconscious level, and Francisca wrote hers out. So it's happening for her on a conscious level as well as a subconscious level, all right? Because as much as we know on the conscious level, there is significantly more on a subconscious level. If you imagine an iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is what's conscious. What's below the water is unconscious or subconscious. And in order to get the tip of your iceberg poking up, there's got to be a lot that's going on beneath, okay? And my secret, which I'm about to reveal to you now, is about understanding that at the base of your subconscious mind, the reason why you are failing is because you have a self-concept that you are a failure. Okay, I hope this makes sense. You all give me your feedback in the comments. I don't care if you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay. I want to know if this makes sense or resonates with you. And what I'm saying is that you have, on a deep unconscious, or maybe you're conscious of it, okay, but definitely on a subconscious or unconscious level, you have not a belief that you are a failure, but failure, I am a failure, is a part of your self-concept. What's the difference between a belief that you are a failure and a self-concept that you are a failure? Well, the difference is really important, because a belief that I am a failure can be changed by working with the belief, finding evidence that is contrary to the belief, repeating affirmations, changing neural pathways that demonstrate that the belief is negative, and then taking actions on that negative belief, okay? Changing it and then taking actions on a new positive belief, okay? So working with a limiting belief is considerably easier than working with a negative self-concept. Your self-concept is who you actually not only believe you are, but you think you are, and you act as if. Like, so your being is, I am a failure. And your being inside on a subconscious or unconscious level is what is being manifested through you on a cellular, vibrational, emotional, energetic level, okay? In other words, when something is a part of your self-concept, it comes out through everything, and that is what the universe is responding to. The universe is responding to your self-concept that says, I am a failure. How do you know? How do I know? How do I know that what I'm saying is true? Well, you have to look around your life and assess, is it true that you are failing consistently, right? Meaning you set yourself up, I'm going to go out for a run today and I'm going to do 10 miles, okay? I'm going to do 10 miles at 9-minute miles. So I'll be done with 10 miles in 90 minutes, okay? You go out to run your 10 miles and you're slow, you don't hit your mark, maybe you don't finish, maybe your ankle is swelling and so you are limping back instead of going, you're starting to limp it at mile 5, so you're hobbling back home. And you probably would more likely not see this on necessarily the day-to-day. You might see that though when you sign up for the 10K run and you say, okay, I'm going to finish the 10K run. And I'm going to finish this 10K run in an hour, let's say. Yeah, I'm going to finish 10K in an hour. And all those things go wrong. It is the failure that doesn't meet its goals, right? And don't get me wrong, there's no judgment coming from me about you not hitting your goals. But another definition of failure for me is giving my word to myself that I'm going to do a certain thing and then not following through with doing that thing is a type of failure when it happens consistently. One time, not a big deal. Couple times, not a big deal. When it's your kind of way of being, it is a big deal. It's not okay, and it has to change, okay? So what I'm doing today through this talk is offering you a way of understanding what dynamics are active inside you and how you can, I'm giving you some tools for how you can change what is going on inside you, all right? Now, again, and this is all subjective. So if you have inside you a concept that I fail, how do you deal with it, okay? The first thing you do is you identify it, and rather than denying it or turning away from it or acting like it doesn't exist because you feel ashamed about it or you think that you should be positively thinking so you won't do anything about it, okay? The first thing you have to do is to acknowledge it and create awareness around it, all right? That's the first thing. The next thing that you have to do is to identify all the places where you have failed. And you just make a brainstorm or an inventory of all your failures. And again, the urge is going to be to clean that up and to try to fix your language because, you know, we've created shame around failing. And so to acknowledge that you're failing means that somehow you're less than someone else, right? I've had a friend who made a post a little time back, and she said, I'm gonna, really set out to fail harder today. She made that post, and for her that meant, I'm not afraid of failing. I'm gonna go out there and really put my ass on the line, and I'm going to embrace not getting things right. I'm going to just put it all out there, and I'm not going to worry about whether it's right or wrong. I'm going to just go for it in the biggest way I possibly can, no holds barred. The amount of negative feedback that she got from her community around acknowledging failure and wanting to embrace it was enough to kind of drive her off of sharing, right? Like, people just don't get that exploring your shadow is not the same as giving permission to your shadow to overtake your life. In fact, it's the opposite. When you name your shadow and you claim it as your, whatever you want to claim it as. For me, I claim it as an integral part of my being that I want to be in control of. I want to be in control of my being. So this failure is a part of who I am, not the totality, but it is a part of who I am, and it's a part of what I've experienced. I'm not afraid of that, because if God is all things, I can allow myself to be all. If God is light, I can also allow myself to be light, even with these shadows, okay? It's complex philosophy. It's, you know, a kind of evolving spirituality, but it's really important. So what we want is for you to claim your failure as a human who is in authority in her life right now. You say, hey, I am here. This is what I've experienced in my life. Now, the next thing is to, sorry, let me get back to my notes here. The next thing is to inventory, okay? Make your brainstorm of all those failure moments, okay? Let them all out, acknowledge them. And then your third step is to assume the role of leader. Now, in order to be a leader, you have to be aware of what your troops are experiencing, what they're saying, and what they're doing. So you need to know what's going on with failure in your life. But you also have to know what's going on with success, achievement, joy, receiving, attaining, and manifesting, and what you desire. So we can't be a leader that's all about the shadow. We have to also be a leader that's also about the light. And because shadow only comes from light, okay? Shadow can only come when there is light. We know that light and the source of light is where our primary focus needs to be. So in other words, our primary focus needs to be on what we are achieving. As the leader of yourself, what you desire to manifest, your positive feelings, is where most of your focus needs to be. Because when you are in shadow, you've got the sun in front of you, the sun is shining down on you, boom, the shadow is behind you, right? Your focus is forward. Shadow is following you and staying in its lane based on what you're doing. And this is how you control your shadow. You control your shadow by being focused on the light. Every once in a while, the sun is going to shift and your shadow is going to grow long. All right. And then that's when you need to turn around and give your shadow some attention, when you feel it, right? When your focus on the sun didn't deliver to you what you want, and your shadow is coming up and saying, oh, I'm failing, okay? This is the time you turn around and you give the shadow the attention it needs. And, you know, that's a different lecture, that's a different talk, okay? Like how, you know, what are we going to do to actually correct this? This is the first steps, or what I'm giving you today, all right? So the good leader, okay, which is step 3, is about understanding where your focus needs to be, all right? Your focus needs to be on the joy, the manifestation, the creation, the building the desire, the building the passion. And when the time comes, you deal with your shadow. When the shadow arises, taps you on the shoulder, then you go and deal with your shadow, okay? Now, the next step, step 4 in this process, sorry, let me check with Facebook before I go on. Francisca says, received a lot of conditioning from late father, my ex and my late parents-in-law, that financial success is hard. Women suffer a lot working against this belief to break new ground. And Francisca, yes, because one of the things I would say, like for most of us, a lot of our beliefs start off as beliefs, or sorry, excuse me, let me say this differently. Our self-concept can start off as an impulse, and then it can the next time become more reinforced as a belief. And these are things you can deal with. It becomes dangerous and difficult to deal with when it becomes a part of your self-concept. And that's kind of how it goes. It starts off as an impulse, like, and then something happens again and it becomes reinforced, and it's like, oh, that's a belief. And then when that belief, like you eat the belief, it becomes a part of you, part of your self-concept. That's a different thing. And that's taking things to another level. So my question for you, Francisca, would be, is that belief, has that belief become a part of your self-concept, where your financial success is going to be difficult? You are going to suffer a lot as a woman. So you're walking around through life suffering as a woman, having financial difficulties because, again, it is a part of your self-concept, okay? Need to be inspired by your friends. So scared of my shadow side, felt that I had to be a positive, if ineffective when dealing with my ex. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that, Francisca. You need to be positive to a degree until it's time to go and deal with your shadow. So yes. And when we're dealing with the shadow, we want to be positive, but when we're dealing with the shadow, we want to be in the dark with the shadow, but we need to learn how to come up for air. Okay, so you come up, you go deep dive into the muck, and then you come up for air to get more light. Then you take a deep dive back down into the muck, and then you come up for more air, for more light. You come up, you take a break, you clean yourself off, you get some lunch, you recuperate, okay? You make love, you clear your energy, then you go back down and you dive, right? Too often we get down and we stay down, and next thing we know, we're drowning and we're not getting the nutrients we need to really be able to take on our shadow. And then what happens is that self-concept is now being reinforced because you've got all your energy focused on it and it is being nurtured. We're now nurturing the shadow self, okay? Look, I'm gonna, for you all that are interested in working in the Badass Butterfly Superpowers Academy, the way that I'm taking you all through the healing each month, we're taking a deep dive, we're coming up. We're taking a deep dive, we're coming up. And then at the end of a month, we're done and we're moving on, okay? And the reason that we're doing that is for the reason I just said. This is not about taking a deep dive and staying at the bottom. No, we have to create. We have to come up for air and get reinvigorated, rejuvenated, have a rest, and then we'll be more effective. because that's what we're ultimately looking at. We want to be effectively healed, okay? So if you are interested in taking a 1-year-long journey with me into healing, then join me for the Badass Butterfly Superpowers Academy. All right, there's a lot of great information. Rebecca, will you please put the link in there? Rebecca just put the link in there for me. That's awesome. Very good. Thank you, darling. So join me for that, and let's talk about what that would look like for you if you want to do this deep healing. All right. Now, the next step, right? The next step in getting this self-concept shifted is to create, and look, people debate me on this all the time. Like, people feel like their healing should be really, really organic and really very much in the realm of the divine feminine. But actually, I like to use the divine feminine and the divine masculine in my healing journey. So my next step is to actually make a healing plan, to write out how you're going to heal this. This is a self-concept. So what are you going to do to heal your self-concept? For me, I have an entire protocol that heals the self-concept. This is part of what I teach you in the Badass Butterfly Superpowers Academy. The program is a year because you really do need a full year to completely shift a self-concept. You can't do it overnight. You can make a change and be changed for about a day or 2 or 3 or maybe a couple weeks. But when you fall off the bandwagon, that's when you know that your self-concept actually didn't change. You can't do something that isn't a part of your self-concept. Anyway, you can't do something that's not a part of your self-concept on some level. And things that are a part of your self-concept, you can fucking do easily. Like, if your self-concept is, I am an athlete, you'll go out and play and have a great time doing athletic things. No problem. Give me a basketball. I don't know how to play basketball, but I'm gonna figure that shit out, and I'm gonna go out there and have a great time. And I'm gonna be able to keep up. And I may not play well. Okay, I'm really crappy at basketball, but I really enjoy playing basketball. Have a good time. And when people show me how to shoot, and they give me exercises, you can see the improvement, because that's a part of my self-concept, okay? If it's not a part of your self-concept, or if your self-concept is, I'm not athletic, I throw a ball at you, you fumble the ball, you get knocked down, you get hit in the face with a ball, something happens, and you are a mess around anything athletic. You sprain your ankle every time you go out for a run. You can't figure out how to run because your self-concept, or part of it, is, I am not an athlete, or I can't do that, okay? So it is very important that when you are identifying, and focusing on the light and what you want to create, you make a plan about what it is you want to heal and who you want to become, right? So making the plan about what you want to heal, what shadow you want to heal. I want to heal failure, okay? So what are you going to do to heal failure? The failure self-concept, okay? And then once you've done the work to heal failure, you then create the next incarnation of who you are, instead of, I'm a failure. And that next incarnation can be, I learn things. I have to learn some things. I'm learning some things. I'm really good at learning things. I learn very quickly. I learn things instantly. I'm connected to God. I don't really have to learn things. I have to download them. I just have to open my mind and say yes, and God immediately downloads me, right? So you see how we went up the scale in the self-concept. It's okay, you're somewhere on that scale. That's all that really matters, is that you're on the scale, okay? So again, the idea is that, you know, you make the decision to be the leader of yourself, and then you're going to make sure that when your shadow comes up, you're going to give your shadow some time, but you're going to be mostly in your life focused on the light and manifesting and giving, you know, nurturing your desire, nurturing your passion, okay? Reading all the books about the things you want to do, listening to the audiobooks, listening to the podcasts, doing all those things to nurture that. And then making the decision to make a plan, like how am I going to actually how am I going to deal with this shadow? Okay. Making your healing plan. And then how am I going to focus? Like, how am I going to give more to the light? Okay. If I'm dealing with shadow and the self-concept of the failure is shifting from I'm not a failure to I'm more successful, like I'm actually pretty successful, getting successful, moving up the ladder, okay? How are you going to nurture that, and how are you going to bring more of that in as well? Those are things you have to think about. All right. Let me see if there are any questions or any comments. And again, if you're still watching, please let me know here on the Facebook comments. That's very, very helpful. All right. Without that is feeding this ego pleasure wishes on the daily net. I had Dennis. That's 100% it. Francisca, thank you so much for saying that. That's exactly what I am talking about. When we're focused on the negative, we're feeding the negative. And when we are focused on, and we have to give time to the negative, you know, it's like you have to go into your garden and you have to weed it. You have to pull out the weeds. Okay, you have to pull them out. You can't just let them choke your garden, right? That would be really irresponsible, because you know that that's what they're going to do. They're growing out of control and they're choking your garden. So what do? You take some time, you get on your hands and knees, you go out there and you deal with the dirt. But you don't live out there in the dirt watching, you know, for the weeds to sprout up. You don't just lie down there and just be like, I'm going to just sit here, and every time a weed comes up a little bit, I'm going to just deal with it. You know, or I'm going to manifest more weeds because I love pulling weeds out. It's easier to pull weeds out of the garden than it is to actually focus on growing fresh flowers and fresh fruits and vegetables, because that's what we be doing. Okay. All right. So I'm going to just give you a little summary, y'all. And again, the idea is that the failure self-concept is really dangerous, because your self-concept is what the universe responds to. So when you are wanting to manifest your divine coaching business, and I am a failure is active, it becomes very difficult to make this soul's calling to become a life coach. Makes it difficult. You don't have the time, you don't have the money, you don't have the focus, you're putting out fires in your life, you're self-sabotaging, you've got all kinds of things going on, you've got fear, doubt, anxiety, you can't imagine, you can't visualize, like all those things are coming from the self-concept of, for example, I am a failure. And in order to deal with that self-concept, you have to do all the things I just talked about, right? You have to identify it. You have to kind of accept that this is what's going on inside you. You need to inventory how this thing is showing up in your life. You need to become the leader for yourself. And then you need to go in there and eradicate the shadow. do some weeding in your gardens. You need to also make your plan. I think I skipped that. No, I didn't. I said that a bunch of times. So you need to make your healing plan, okay? Part of your healing plan is how are you going to deal with the shadow? Okay. How are you going to eradicate those weeds? Are you going to use Roundup? No, you're not going to use Roundup. You're going to do something organic that doesn't ruin our soil and harm our water system. Okay. We don't need Roundup. That's way too much, but you need something. You need the energetic equivalent of Roundup to deal with your fear or your failure. Okay. However you're going to deal with your failure shadow, make your plan. Okay. And the other thing is to focus on the light. Okay. Decide who it is you want to be, right? Instead of the failure concept, what should be there? And when you choose what should be there, it should be authentic to you and doable and realistic to you. It should not be out of reach for you. So to go from I am a failure to I am successful, that's not really authentic to you, right? Because you can't just go from I'm a failure to I'm successful. What might feel like a little change or an upgrade to I am failure, it might be I have failed in the past, but I have a new mindset. Okay, I failed in the past, but I'm introducing a new self-concept. Okay, and maybe a little bit more of an upgrade would be I've really learned a lot from my failures, and now I'm ready to experience winning. I win sometimes. Sometimes I win. Upgrade, gosh, look at all the things around me. I really feel like I've won. I'm a winner. Upgrading, I'm a winner, and I'm God's child. God has blessed me. I'm a winner. Okay, now I'm successful. I am successful. Gosh, all this, yes, I am successful. So it's an incremental upgrade. From there, once you've made that, okay, it might take you days or weeks, months, or it might take you a whole year to make that upgrade. That's okay. Doesn't matter. Got your whole life. You're here to do this, right? So once you've made that, you now have the new self-concept. And then, of course, the key is to take action. All right, take action from your new self-concept every time you incrementally take a step up. All right, y'all. So I love it. Thank you, Rebecca. Hashtag claiming I'm a winner. Yes, everybody in the comments, if you feel like this, okay, if you feel like that you can do this, make a note in the comments. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. And if you don't feel like you can do that, put in the comments what you can do. All right. What's an incremental upgrade for you? What do you think it's going to be? All right, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the day. I want you all to get registered for Badass Butterfly Superpowers Academy. It starts August 1st. I've extended your discount because people have been asking. They're like, I want to get my money together. Fine, go ahead, get it together. You got another week, okay? And I look forward to talking to you. And of course, I'll see you next Tuesday for the Fiercely Divine Motivation Hour with Crystal Bell. All right, signing off, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today.